Welcome to Libtards and Shy. Here, we discuss liberalism and what's stopping its progress, all while drinking way too much Arabic tea, which is called Shy. So, come on in. Beautiful.
The tea?
No, the current political situation we're in. Yeah, the tea, damn it. I have a story for you.
Oh, good.
It's about a wizard.
Okay.
Yeah. This man is a magician.
Is his name Gandalf?
No, it's better.
Oh.
His name is Nick.
I've heard of him. He hated me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we asked him about it, and he was like, it's just your face. And then he walked away, and that's literally the last time I talked to him.
He okay, so for perspective to the audience, this is a guy we went to high school with, and basically just like, a tall, 6'1", 6'2", blonde white boy, and just absolutely gorgeous. But he was just a magic act. I mean, you know the story pretty well. Now once I said the name, you no longer need the story, so I'll keep it short. Basically, the guy was, sleeping with two of the most.
Oh yeah.
You know what? You tell the story.
He had a girlfriend at a time, and then they broke up. It was one of those messy things, and he hooked up with another girl.
Right.
Okay. Two very attractive girls.
Probably the best in their class. Yeah.
Top 10 for sure.
Yeah.
If we're doing a ranking.
Yes.
What was another high school we went to? The fucking one that always stops us in football. They had the prom rankings.
Yes.
These guys are going top 10 in the draft.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Anyways, on a Monday, he comes in.
We're feminists.
He comes in, and everyone in the locker room, because I played football, and by played football, I mean I was around football players.
All right.
While they did football. And I just kind of sat there.
I mean, you're technically on the roster.
I was on the roster for sure.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes they just didn't put my name on there, and no one noticed.
Just forgot.
Including me. That's how insignificant I was in the football.
Oh, no.
Anyways, he comes in the locker room like a Monday, and every dude knows about what's happening because it's
he's been cheating.
That he got caught. It's not even cheating. It was in the gray zone.
He got caught
but he's
having sex with both of these
two girls are now aware that he slept with another girl.
Right.
They're waiting for the hammer to drop.
Right.
So every dude in the locker room
is
tortured. You're about to cut. Yeah, that kind of shit. That happens on Monday. Happens again on Tuesday. On Wednesday, he comes in, and apparently, he whispers stuff to the guys. And now every black dude in the locker room, all 7 of them, and all 7 of them in the school too. They're all in this locker room. Right. Are just surrounding him on the bench, going, "How you pull this shit off?" Because apparently, instead of getting his and they had notebooks in their hand, because instead of getting his dick chopped off, he had a threesome with both of them.
He's a fucking wizard.
Yeah, and literally the biggest fucking dude there has his foot on the bench like Captain Morgan, and his arm twisted on his knee, and just fucking head and the shoulder like this. Right? I'm trying to describe my position.
Right.
And he's just like, "How the fuck you pull that off? You was gonna have no dick on Monday, and you got 2 pussies on Wednesday. How you pull this off? How do you go from no dick to 2 pussy?
It's witchcraft.
Tell me the magic."
So you see, this is a blessed man. He's egregiously attractive.
He's a wizard.
Right, he's a wizard. Right. Now let's say you weren't a wizard, and you try to pull something like that off. What would happen to you is
the second one would reject you. You wouldn't even get to.
Right, either one would reject you, the second one would reject you, or in most cases, if you're really ugly, they'll cry rape.
Yeah.
And when they cry rape, you end up where? In front of a judge. And now we're gonna talk about judges.
That was a...
What a wild segue.
That was a...
Honestly, I just wanted to talk about Nick.
That was a long walk for a short drink of water.
Yes.
as the term goes.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ. That was a stretch, boy.
That was a stretch. Man, I had, math class with him. I just,
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't the brightest kid. Several years younger than him, and I was in the same math class as him.
Yeah, but you're also the smart kid.
And
he wasn't dumb.
No, he wasn't dumb. But I just remember
smart enough to go from no dick to 2 pussy. That requires some wit.
That's some intelligence.
That's some wit.
I just remember desperately trying to be his partner. He's like, you know what? I'm going to talk about it someday, and I finally did. Dreams accomplished.
I'm going to use your story one day, sir.
So basically, today's episode is actually, not very. There's not really much of like, full blown solutions to this. This is really a problem recognition, recognizing, how we're being fucked over.
Yeah, where the smoke's coming from.
Where the smoke's coming from, exactly. The episode, as you guys know, is minority rule governing from the bench, and what we mean by that specifically is how the Conservative Party or the conservative legal movement has taken over the federal court system.
Yeah.
And basically now kind of governs and legislates America without democratic processes.
We should probably clarify something too. When we say take over the court system, we mean the third branch of government.
Yes, like the
because
whole
the way
judiciary.
the way the three branches of government are taught in like fucking high school is you got the executive branch, which is the presidency, legislative branch, which is Congress, and then the judicial branch, which is the Supreme Court.
The judicial branch. Yeah,
so the Supreme Court is the top of the judicial branch.
Right.
It also supersedes. It's the highest court of the land, final law, and
But
has original jurisdiction over certain things.
These are called Article 1 judges. And there's a mixture of Article 3 judges, but like you said, there's the Supreme Court, and then below them is the Federal Circuit or the Court of Appeals.
Court of Appeals.
And then before that is the district courts.
There's 13 districts in the United States, I believe.
For the Federal Court of
12,
Appeals.
yeah, for the Federal Court of Appeals. 12 split up just for mostly geographical things, and then kind of the 9th district, which we'll get into a little bit later, just kind of get shit added onto it because it's one of the last.
It's the
and
most western.
where it's geographically located, that kind
Right.
of stuff too. And then DC being its own individual district.
Because why
I believe
not?
that's the 13th. Yeah.
So
Well, that's, the idea is supposed to be like neutral ground. That's why DC is technically not a state.
right.
We need a capital to be neutral. The District of Columbia should also
Which
be neutral, which makes sense. But
it makes sense. There's a whole debate about DC statehood, and we're not talking about that.
No.
But the thing that we want to really be focusing on is the district and the federal circuit. So it starts off at the lowest level, the district courts, and then it goes to the Federal Court of Appeals or the Federal Circuit, and then it goes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And there has been something quite remarkable about this. There's this big conversation about the American political spectrum is polarizing, and there has been this big mythology, of course, that the court is above it all. But the reality is, of course, the court is not above it all. The court is also polarizing, and the people who are making it to the bench are also polarized. And so there needs to be a firm discussion and a firm understanding of what we mean by that. So if we're going to do a, back when the story begins, like all Republican nightmares, it begins with a motherfucker named Mitch McConnell.
yeah.
And this, this...
A motherfucker Mitch McConnell.
A motherfucker Mitch McConnell.
Should be his official title.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. There's no doubt about it. He's a very smart guy.
He's a genius.
He's a genius.
He's a political genius.
He's a political genius. But
Yeah.
I think what
Doesn't know how
makes
to
him...
smile, but, like,
I think
he's a
what's
political
made him successful isn't just his genius. It's the fact that he is willing to go where...
He's ruthless.
No ethical norm was meant to go.
He doesn't give a fuck.
There's actually, hilariously, a lot of Senate norms and traditions and rules that are not written down and are not actually enforceable, but that have just been obeyed for many, many decades and centuries. And he's just chooses not to follow them.
This is how I imagine most of Mitch McConnell's meetings go. We should do this. And then his advisor goes, you can't do that. Then he goes, why?
Cricket. Exactly that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's literally, why the hell not? Maybe because it erodes the democratic fabric and confidence in the government and the judiciary, but this is one of the most...
It's immoral. You're eradicating traditions that have been alive longer than you have.
Right.
So,
this is...
Which is hard to believe, but
No, I know it is, especially since he was around when the dinosaurs walked the earth, but...
he killed them, by the way, not a meteor.
Just Mitch McConnell?
Yeah, it's just Mitch McConnell.
Again, I'm actually...
With a big-ass magnifying glass.
I'm actually, I'm very much, I feel like ageism is a big problem in America. So just because he's old, I don't think is what makes him the problem. I really think what makes him a problem is that he's probably one of the most Machiavellian characters in the political drama of America in the past 50 years.
He's crazy, dude.
And he has had one goal. This is me quoting him. Just judges. If you quote him from during the Trump years, he was basically saying that our objective goal as a party is to stack the bench with as many conservative, not just conservative, he called them constitutional constructionists, right? The idea that they're so originalist that they're going to reconstruct the Constitution back into the original framing.
Yeah.
And he also added that he wants to stack them with a bunch of late 40, early 50-year-olds. So these people basically serve for...
To make a generational change, I think was the exact quote.
Right, to make a generational change that will bring back wins year after year after year.
Yeah.
Right, like, these people will sit on the bench for 40 years.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Being a judge is the least stressful job in America. First of all, they don't write anything. They have clerks.
Yeah.
You know, they just think. They work half the year.
They wear robes.
They wear robes.
That's not a stress uniform.
Right. You know, like, you don't
That's
have to...
free flowing.
You don't have to worry about your ass figure getting too big.
No.
You know?
Clarence Thomas could be free balling underneath there while he's saying no more dead babies.
Right. Right. God, that's a disturbing thought.
What, he's just got dick swinging going like, yeah, no gay marriage.
No gay marriage. Yes. Fuck you. What about your human rights?
Yeah.
You know, I mean...
I was like, what about your drawers, man?
It's a fucking pendulum right
Put
there.
that snake back in the pit. Let's go.
You know, when they talk about the pendulum swinging back...
It's Clarence Thomas. It's
just
Thomas's dick swinging over the Constitution, him just cock slapping. It's like, fuck you. Which is both somehow an act of, like, reparations and...
Yes. Oh, God. I mean, fuck, man. I mean, I love how this guy gets to be like... Have you noticed how when Roe v. Wade got overturned... Officially.
Yeah.
You know how he talked about going after Obergefell, which is gay marriage, and Griswold, which is the contraception?
Yeah.
You know what he forgot to leave out?
What?
Loving versus Virginia. The interracial race.
Interracial marriage. Yeah, because his wife is...
Not just white. She is a neo-Nazi. She's a neo-Nazi terrorist.
Why?
Who tried to coup the federal government.
And
then Clarence Thomas got punished by having nothing taken away from him.
Yeah.
Even though his wife actively engaged in the planning of the coup of the American democratic system.
You think there's some Nancy Reagan shit going on there?
1000%.
Like, she just gives crazy head.
Crazy head.
I'm
telling you, it's like there's an unpublished book in the Reagan Library, and it's called Nancy Reagan's Guide to Cocksucking.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the other one, I don't know what her name is. I'm gonna call her Stacy.
Yeah. Number one, hate your throat.
Right.
Number two,
have no gag reflex. Dude, I straight up had like a guy.
Tonsillitis? No problem.
I had a friend of mine who was just like, dude, I would be the best like dick sucker in the world. It's so sad that I'm straight. And I was like, oh please, every fucking like liberal straight guy thinks they'd be the best dick sucker in the world. And he's
do we? I'm sorry, what?
no, like he's from West Hollywood, like that type of liberal. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. He's also a cop, but whatever. He straight up looks at me, bold face, and like straight, like direct eye contact. I said, no, I'm serious. And I was like, bro, you're talking out of your ass. He's like, I have no gag reflex. And he takes his fucking full hand, shoves it down his throat. I fucking see his hand disappear. It's just his wrist now.
Wait, he got a whole, like, up to wrist?
Nothing. No reflex.
So like phalanges, metacarpals, the whole thing.
Hand. Yeah.
God.
I was like, okay, you know what? This guy could set.
That's some porn star shit.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's his name? I'm just kidding.
His badge number is...
What's the top of his head look like?
Bald. Buzzed.
No, I can't do that. I can't.
He's not bald.
I can't imagine you as someone else. If you have no hair.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
Because I've long wondered this. Like, is it gay to get your dick sucked by someone?
Yes.
That's not fully female.
Yes. Let me put this clear. Make this
OG
clear.
Vagina. That's what I'm going to say.
Let me make this very clear.
Okay.
The top is as gay as the bottom. In fact, the guy who's sucking dick is more manly. Because it takes a real man to suck a dick. Okay?
Okay, go on this. Sorry.
Okay, I'm being joking on that second comment, but the first comment I'm being for real. There's a really toxic part of the LGBT community, and definitely the culture at large where...
Straight guys too.
Or straight guys too, where it's like somehow the top is less
that's why
gay.
I asked the question.
Right. Or like somehow tops are less gay, or tops are...
because you're just fucking ass.
No. If you are doing any sexual thing with a guy, you are gay. Okay. Or bi, or on the spectrum, but you are really drunk. Not straight. No. Bro, Max, like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, come on. How many times have you been drunk? Did you accidentally fucking ass? Did you just trip and find your penis in someone?
No. I don't know.
Oh.
There's a lot of blackouts.
Whoa.
I cannot say for certain.
Max, that's a fair point. Okay.
Like we're being 100% objective. Can't say for certain.
That's true. No, that's true. No, I mean, for real. I mean, if I'm being honest, I really do think that this whole idea of like tops being less gay or more manly, no, that's a bunch of bullshit. That is a complete bunch of bullshit. That is honestly, like, that's what a bunch of, like, gay guys who were, like, in the Navy who used to fuck each other try to convince themselves that they weren't gay.
No, I'm not gay. Gary was taking it up the butt, not me.
Exactly. That's
I like pussy, bro. I just hole's a hole.
Yeah. Somehow we got into this conversation, but, we're talking about Clarence Thomas and his pendulum swinging balls and dick. And he does leave out Loving, of course. He does leave out Loving versus Virginia.
Yeah.
But this is a court that is... I'm talking specifically with the Supreme Court. I mean, here's some fun numbers for you. I mean, what's that called? Barack Obama, in 8 years of being a president, got 2 Supreme Court justices. And in 4 years, Trump got 3.
Yeah.
And
appointed Nancy Barron Cohen, right? That's her name?
No. Amy Coney
Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett.
Whatever. The Orthodox Catholic crazy bitch.
She's first of all, she invented the term Orthodox Catholic.
Yeah.
She is a part of a cult. She's a part of a Catholic cult that's excommunicated by the Catholic Church. She's so right-wing.
Yeah, she's batshit.
She's like deranged right-wing.
She's batshit.
She's so right-wing, she makes Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Alito look
liberal.
Kind of normal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're all nuts. It's important to understand that, like, here's some... I'm going to repeat the numbers again because I know it's not visual. So we have Obama, in 8 years of presidency, got 2 Supreme Court justices. Trump got 3.
Yeah, was denied his 3rd because it was, too close to the election?
It was 11 months away.
11 months away. But then too close to the election.
But then Barrett got on the court. Barrett got on the court during the Trump years, only like 8 days away from the election.
8 days.
So we don't give a shit about apparently like all the Biden rule or whatever the hell that Mitch McConnell quoted is a bunch of bullshit.
Which is crazy hypocritical. But if we're being objective and just like, I respect the game. We should do that too.
I respect the game, but the thing is, what happens is when you do, yes, we should do that.
Yeah.
The problem is from a third party perspective, it's like. This behavior is so delegitimizing of the system that when both parties start to do it, it basically tears the government down.
That's why you should do it, though.
No, I agree. I mean, again, Obama 2 justices, Trump 3 in half the time. Obama in 8 years got 55 circuit judges or federal circuit judges. Trump got 54, so that's basically the same amount
in half the time.
And then Obama in 2 terms or 8 years got 272 district judges, and Trump got 177, which is not half. That's significantly more than half. And he did it in half the time. So the question is Obama stupid? Is the Democratic Party stupid?
No.
The answer is no. And they're stupid in other things, but not in this department. No. This is not a thing that some guy discovered.
They tried.
There is a story behind this. And the story begins in 2008, comes back in 2010, and really solidifies in 2014. And again, like always, it begins with Mitch McConnell. We have, in 2008, real deep internal political polling. This is according to not the liberal media. This is according to the RNC's own polling. In which they have found...
The numbers that make up their entire political strategy.
Right. This is their internal polling that's now been released or they have openly discussed.
Yeah.
In which they, first of all, when Obama got elected in 2008, Mitch McConnell openly said, at the time he was the Senate minority leader, that our only political objective is to deny Obama a second term.
Yeah.
Now, he failed in that. He did not fail in his second goal, which is judges. In polling in 2010, after they took back the Senate, they discovered something. The Senate, and we'll talk about this in a future episode, isn't just broken in the regards of its structure. It's broken's the wrong word, but there's a thing about the filibuster that deludes people into thinking that what it means to be in power. We say that, the Democrats currently right now, this is, 2022 in the summer of 2022, we say, the Democrats are in power because they have 50 Democrats plus the vice president. But that's not what it means to be in power in the Senate. The filibuster, which is not like Mr. Smith goes to Washington, you don't actually have to stand up for 24 hours. They just send in an email from their home state that we're going to filibuster this. So basically, in effect, to break a filibuster, you need 60 senators. So in effect, to be in power, you need 60 senators. And no one can get that. And so... The Democrats are not in power.
Again, by design, gerrymandering, voting restrictions. It's a whole it's a web.
So the Senate in 2010 flipped to the Republicans. Even though it flipped, the agenda was now they can fully block all of Obama's agenda, which is why after the first 2 years, Obama was basically unable to pass anything. After the Affordable Care Act, Obama was unable to do anything through the legislative process. So they discovered something in their polling. This is actually where we as a society take the blame, where we as liberals take the blame. They discovered that the American electorate, according to polling, cannot differentiate between incompetence from the ruling party and obstructionism from the minority party.
Okay.
In essence, in the simplest possible language, the American public cannot tell the difference or does not pay attention to whether the party in power is actually fucking up and not doing their job, or they're being purposely obstructed through the filibuster by the minority party. And as a result of not this understanding, they tend to blame the people in power despite the minority obstructing and vote for the minority to return to power.
So to put it in sports terms,
yes,
if two football teams are stuck on the 50-yard line,
right?
This is probably a better example. It's because why it's not football, because you can't see American politics and Congress and legislative work on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
And it's not something that you can perceive.
And you don't have a bird's eye view.
And you don't have the commonplace knowledge. Like, it's not in most people's base of knowledge.
No,
how actual legislation gets done.
Right.
Nor should it have to be. So that's a separate conversation. But if two teams are stuck on the 50-yard line, you don't think, oh, they don't know how to play football.
Right.
No, you think, oh, that's a good defense.
Right. That's a strong offense going up against a good defense. They're both stuck.
Yeah.
Right. It's why they're not getting sacked back to the safety. Right. And it's why that the offense is not steamrolling them and throwing bombs or running through the middle. Right?
Exactly.
Right. So but the problem
But
is
instead of what you have here is like, oh, the offense just doesn't know how to do anything.
Right. The offense doesn't know how to do anything. Let's fire the offense. Let's vote for the defense. Right. Or let's fire this party and go for the other party. So the Republicans basically realized two things. They realized, one, they don't have to actually govern. They can just block governance, and then they can win political points for that. And so they did that.
And they're doing the same strategy with all regulatory agencies, too.
Right. So
IRS, SEC. Hey, look, it's not working. Well, it's not working because you fucking defunded it.
Defunded it, right. So basically, they strip the ability for the government to be effective, then run on the argument that the government is
ineffective because of liberals.
So now it comes to the question is, okay, if all they do is obstruct government action, how do they legislate? They've decided to do this through the judicial branch.
Because it's the least understood branch of government.
So the question
also
is...
gets the least amount of press coverage.
Right. So one, it's the least democratic.
Yeah.
Like
so when we say from the bench, it's not just a play on words in terms of like the judicial bench. It's literally from the shadows.
Right. It's not only concealed, like you said, it's from the shadows. There's also another terrifying doctrine to it. It's that the process is undemocratic in that we don't decide these justices, whether they're on the federal, district, or Supreme Court, and the most potent force of all, they serve for life.
Lifetime appointees.
They serve for life.
You got someone from the Ford administration, I want to say.
Yeah.
And hold on.
I know that one of the federal districts, there's a guy from the 40 years. He's like 88 or almost 90. I'll put this to you in perspective. Do you know how old Clarence Thomas was? Do you know when he made it to the court? 1990. He must have been like 42 or 43. And he's been on there for 32 years. God, and he's only like 72. Yeah. Like they
and he's raw dogging his white wife, so like he's gonna live a while.
Right. Like, dude, like the freaking there's like that Nazi
That's good
terrorist.
For longevity. Yeah,
there's like that Nazi terrorist, potions in that pussy, so it's keeping him alive. There's this idea though, like
Nazi terror potions.
Dude, I literally am not even exaggerating any of these things. If you actually hear what she says, she straight up like is copy and pasting like Nazi talking points.
No, but what's the Nazi doctor that did all the fucking experiments? Mengele? Yeah, yes. He's just working on fucking throat potions.
Right.
How do we control the men? The female throats.
Ich bin Eichen, die kochen Sacken, ihr Lügen.
I don't even know if that's real German, but it sounds good.
No, it's not.
Who gives a fuck?
But it's like, there is... oh, God, I got distracted by my talent of being able to bullshit language sounds.
That was a solid fake German.
Yeah. Yeah. You
said dick and sucking, too. For
I said cock and sucking.
Cock and sucking. The accent's so good you don't realize.
Right.
You're just putting in on the end of words.
Right. You put in on a lot of things. Yeah. Ich bin, or Eichen, Ich bin Eichen des Fluchen Deugen. Yeah.
He doesn't know German. He knows German prefixes and the accent. That's it.
Yes.
And then he just puts English words in there.
But you have to now come back to the original question. We presented the data. I'm going to present it again. In 8 years, Obama got 2 justices. In 4 years, Trump 3. For the circuit judges, in 8 years, Obama got 55. Trump got 54, which is basically the same. And then in 8, which is, again, half the time. It's half the time.
Half the time.
And then Obama in 8 years got 272. And then Trump got 100 less, 177, which is not half, though he did it in half the time. So the rate at which he got it is much higher.
Crazy.
So the question is...
First 2 years appointed more judges across the board than any other president.
Any other president within the first half of his term.
History.
And if you want to look at the first half of Biden's presidency, Biden's gotten 1 justice.
Yeah.
He's gotten a measly 16 federal circuit judges.
Yeah.
And he's gotten 52.
Yeah.
That's literally not even halfway to what Trump would be. Like, not even close. So Trump has a pace of almost double what Biden has.
Yeah, he's kicking Biden's ass in that part, for sure.
And he has the same as a 2-term Democratic president.
Yeah.
So the question is, how did Trump do this by himself? Obviously, he didn't do it by himself. How did the GOP do this as a collective? Because there's also something to be understood about Trump and the justices he's put on. Vox has done really good statistical polling on analysis on this, on putting the political indexes, like where they lie on the political spectrum. The justices that Trump is appointing are younger,
crazy right wing,
and they're more right wing than any Republican president has ever nominated on average.
They also have this cool little thing in the chart where they can show that, like, Clinton appointed conservatives,
that Clinton's appointed conservatives,
Reagan appointed liberals,
Reagan's appointed some liberals.
Of course, it's still politically skewed in the president's favor, but they do propose people of the other party.
It's always been understood that the president will be able to affect the federal system in some way, and it will lean in his leanings.
Mm-hmm. And there will be a lasting impact.
But the degrees matter. The degree in which Trump has been able to put all these justices, who are much younger, much more conservative, and by the way, not just conservative, they are original constructionists. And so what that means is they view the Constitution and the amendments that are written within the framework and the mindset of the time in which these documents or amendments were written.
Yeah, the time where Clarence Thomas is 3/5 of a person.
Yes. I don't know where my legs stand, where a light-skinned Arab guy can call a black man Uncle Tom. So I won't go there, but it is baffling to me how that's like me supporting the Muslim ban.
Yeah.
I'm not a religious guy, let's be honest.
You don't hate your family that much.
But it's like, yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's not like, keep auntie out of here.
Right. It's like, that's like Japanese people voting for Korematsu, which upheld internment. Like, I don't get this, man. I really don't get this, man.
It's crazy.
This, but forget Clarence Thomas, we are putting a lot of fire on.
Rightly so.
Rightly so. But there's also Alito.
Yeah.
There's also...
Oh, no, the other justice gets some stuff, too. But they didn't go after fucking condoms and gay dudes, man.
They will.
They will?
They will.
But Clarence Thomas is the one that dropped it.
They dropped it, yeah. Right.
Like, you're leading the charge against condoms.
Right.
The fuck?
Yeah. And also, I love how Trump, who put all these justices in, is like the least Christian man on earth.
Yeah.
Just so you know the makeup of the court.
Also, Trump didn't wear any condoms.
Right.
To you.
Right. Also like Herschel Walker, the guy running in Georgia, like the black football player. He's got like he's literally fathered like 3 children out of wedlock.
Hey.
From like 3 different women.
Let's go.
And it's like they don't talk about fucking his lack of Christian morality or whatever the fuck. It's so funny and hypocritical to me, but that's not the point.
Nah, because anytime something bad happens to him, it's like, well, it was God's will.
Right, it was exactly. Or they know, and then they don't care. This has always been about, all these rulings has always been about, when you view the world or the Constitution through a constructional element, they are pretending like they're originalists.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about originalism.
This is the thing about conservatism in general.
Well, right. This is philosophy.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Right. First of all, they accuse liberal judges of being activists because, one, they're arguing, they rule without precedent. But motherfucker, Roe v. Wade had 50 years of precedent.
Yeah.
And You guys didn't seem to squash that.
Yeah.
Gay rights now has precedent. You don't seem to care about that. Griswold has precedence. You don't seem to. So you don't mind. You don't mind squashing precedent. So you are just as much of an activist as the activist judges.
Yeah.
So let's actually really understand what constructionist thinking is, or originalist thinking is. I'm going to paraphrase from Kagan, who is one of the few remaining liberals on the Supreme Court. She basically says, when you look at the Constitution and its amendments from the times the Constitution or the amendments were written, you are looking at it from a mindset of a society that did not view people of color, women, as equal citizens.
Yeah, they didn't even acknowledge gay people as an entity.
So when you view the Constitution from perspective in which women have no right to vote, have no claim to property, black people are themselves property. How
anyone else who doesn't fit into a demographic is either completely ostracized or just roped into property.
Right. How is it then that you cannot tell me that this is a political, it's a legal philosophy of racism?
Yeah.
When you try to return us to a constitution of the quote-unquote good old days, you are returning us to a constitution that is inherently racist, that is inherently pro-slavery, that is inherently anti-women, that is inherently anti-immigrant, that is inherently anti-privacy. You know? So the question is, how do they do this? And we'll end on this. The way they did this is very simple. Historically speaking, when the president's party loses the Senate will allow him to still put justices on the court, put judges on the federal circuit. They just have to be a little more in favor. They have to be more politically less of what the party is. For example, when Clinton lost the Senate back in his presidency, he was still able to put justices on. They just had to be a little more conservative. They couldn't be as liberal as he liked.
Yeah, he had to compromise.
Right. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so the Senate was like, no. We can't let you put on all these liberal justices. You have to appease and work together. We did the same shit with Reagan. We did the same shit with Bush. We did the same thing. Oh. Obama.
Mm-hmm.
It comes back to Obama.
Yeah.
After 2014, when the Senate fell for the rest of his administration into Republican hands, and honestly, this practice occurred even back in 2010. But in 2014, we see a dead plateau. After 2014, Obama was...
Of appointees by Obama.
Yes. Obama was able to get virtually no federal appointments.
And if you look at the line graph of every other thing, again, this is going back to the Vox graph, right?
Right.
Every other president has a nice little statistical upscale of...
Because as more time has gone on, there's more chance for
more appointees. Yeah.
Right. Obama just flatlines.
Like
a guy who suffered a heart attack.
For the last 2 years of his presidency.
Got nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's left with the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit has been the bane of the conservative movement because it's been historically more liberal. Mm-hmm. It's also insanely massive, disproportionately massive.
29 active judges that rule over how many people?
I mean, about 66.
The district has jurisdiction over how many people?
So the problem with the Ninth Circuit is that, it's just been the most western district, and we just clump on all the new states.
Yeah. So it's founded in 1891 when California was California was a state for 40 years.
Right. So California, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, Washington were the original states, and then we've added on Hawaii, Alaska, Guam, the Mariana Islands. And what's it called? Originally, when this thing was founded, there was about 2 million people in this entire territory, about 30% of the population. And then now there's about 66 million people living in these areas, or about 20% of the population. And Trump has able to put 9 judges.
10
judges on the Ninth Circuit.
10 judges on the Ninth Circuit.
10
alone.
Judges on the Ninth Circuit. There's only 29 active judges.
He's got a third of them.
I mean, I'm not trying to correct you, but it's a little more than a third. Just to even emphasize the point. It is, because it's 29, right? 10 out of 29. I mean, it is a...
Fuck you and your nerd shit.
I'm not trying to correct you. I'm trying to emphasize that it's not even a third. It's not even a third. Mm-hmm. It's even more than that. And this is one of the most populous districts. So he has by the way, I'm not saying 10 judges are Republican. There are still other Republicans within the 29. They control a much bigger block. I'm saying he got to add 10 new justices. Yeah. 7 of these seats were empty. And they weren't allowed They were empty during Obama's time, and they weren't allowed to fill them. Not had to concede.
These should have been Obama seats.
Those all should have been Obama's seats. All 7 of those should have been Obama's seats. And there have all been all kinds of rules in which the seat of the state needs to be approved by the 2 senators from that state. Those rules were completely ignored.
Informal rules, so it's not written down to anything.
Right,
It's
these are
just
all
kind of like
informal rules,
Yeah.
But let's ignore these informal
It's
rules.
kind of like you open the door for your significant other.
Right.
You tell, I'm going to nut before you know.
Be nut before you nut. Right.
Yeah.
And if you
And
don't,
then she goes, pull out, and you go, what? And then, well,
you pull out. But you say what?
I mean, you pull out.
Oh, God. Speaking of judges, you're going to end up in front of one soon.
Yeah. Roe v. Wade's affecting me, guys.
Oh, God, yeah. Love of Latinas.
I'm not going to Missouri.
Oh, Max.
It's not a love of Latinos. It's an acceptance of Latina love for me.
That's such a sad way to put it, but yes, I see your point.
You take what you can get.
You take
man.
what you can get. So,
Yeah. Do you eat beluga whale?
no.
Yeah, because it's not offered to you.
Fair enough. To end with this, the Republican Party has gone off the deep end. They have
been.
For a while.
Yeah.
They have realized that, one,
They've kicked up some shit since Obama got into it.
Oh, no, yeah.
Which is coincidental. A black guy gets in power and they go crazy.
they've basically discovered that they can obstruct through the Senate and the filibuster and deny any form of government process in the legislative branch, weakening its impact. 2, when they took the Senate, they completely blocked Obama, which has never been done. A complete block has never been done. Usually it's you have to give us more conservative guys or less liberal guys, but a complete block, which led to a massive amount of vacancies. And when they took the Senate and the presidency, when Trump came to power, Trump got to fill all of these vacancies himself. And he appointed people who were a lot more conservative than previous Republican presidents.
Way more conservative.
And they're a lot younger.
Yeah. In the 9th District.
And so now they
Which is why you're seeing gun laws going to the 9th District now. They're about to be overturned. There's like
Exactly.
bans on like ammunitions of I think they're on the docket.
Right
magazines,
now,
rounds are 10 or more.
Right.
That ban's
There was
gonna
an
get
assault
stricken
rifle ban in California, got overturned.
Online ghost guns too.
Right.
That's going to be on the docket. That's going to get overturned. So you're going to allow all these other things. So
So-
we're getting the 9th District is getting more conservative.
So the question really remains of how important
California in
is this?
particular.
I mean, what really this means is you have New York City versus New York Rifle and Pistol. Now the requirements for a CCW, a concealed carry weapon, is much lower. Roe v. Wade got overturned. They're going to go after gay rights. They're going to go after contraception. That's them saying that. But there's also things they haven't said that they can go after. There's also, we'll talk about this in another episode, a war on regulation. They just argued in a legal case that the SEC, the Stock and Exchange Commission, not only is unconstitutional, that the federal government doesn't have the right to delegate responsibilities to administrations.
So basically can't do
They can't
this
regulate.
fucking job.
Yeah, like they really think that
Yeah.
Elizabeth Warren is going to go into the Chattanooga River and test the water herself.
Yeah.
If it's not in violation of the Clean Water Act.
Yeah. Or Mitch McConnell's going to keep airplanes from crashing into each other.
Right. So
Fucking what, dude?
There is truly a lack of understanding from the American electorate on what also the Supreme Court has done. The fact that the amendments don't apply to the state governments by Constitution. You don't have freedom of speech protection from California, from the government of California. It is only New York versus Albany that made this the federal Bill of Rights apply to state governments. It is the Supreme Court that has made the Miranda rights a thing. It is the Supreme Court that ended segregation. It is the Supreme Court that made interracial marriage a thing. It is the Supreme Court that ended school prayer.
And it has to work its way through all the federal courts to get there.
Right.
So this shit
and
fucking
by the way,
matters.
speaking of school prayer, they just ruled that a football coach who was a public employee, it was not unconstitutional for him to it was not wrong for him to openly lead a prayer on the 50-yard line after a football game which was massively attended, and that they felt that they basically argued that this hardline ban on agents of the state leading religious exercises in front of their students somehow is not a violation of the First Amendment of the government
Separation of church and state.
or the fact that it will not make an establishment of religion.
Yeah.
So now they've opened the door on school prayer, which has been understood since the 60s that that's a no-go.
Unless you're Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights.
Right.
Then you're allowed to do whatever you want. Clear eyes, full hearts.
Can't fucking lose
Seems like it.
if you're a conservative. So there are some solutions to this. There needs to be, term limits on judges, or higher regulations to ensure more compromise.
One thing is just more awareness of the fact that this is actually a huge, impactful branch of government. Which is some optimism, because you got to think, like, if we push them out of the executive branch, you push them out of the legislative branch.
Right.
They're being forced into the shadows.
There is something really scary about the fact that people are acting like, oh, Congress is broken, it doesn't work. It's like, no, it's not working because they are intentionally breaking it.
Yeah.
They're intentionally weakening the power of the legislative branch, and thus the only effective way to govern is through the court. And these justices are much more conservative, and by the way, they are activists.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just go around and say this law is unconstitutional. They say, they don't just say the SEC's action was too much. They say, no, the SEC shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
That's activism. That's unprecedented. And so they will rule from the bench. They will rule for life. They will rule younger and more extremely to the right wing.
For 50 years.
For 50 years. And the only way we can stop this is long-term democratic involvement. And it is going to take as long to unfuck this situation than it has taken us to get fucked by this
Probably
situation.
longer, because it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Yes. And really, in that very, very sense, this may be one of the depressing episodes. There's a lot of progress being made in a lot of other departments, but in the realm of the justice branch, or the judicial branch, we have been thoroughly fucked. And that's all the time we have. Been Libtards and Shy with Max and Monsoor. Join us again next week for an all new episode, and please remember to like and subscribe on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Wherever you are and whenever you are, have a good morning, good evening, or good night. What?
Don't wait around till after the credits. There's nothing weird there. If you're a 5'7" ginger dude named Chase, fuck you.